ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Looking at the Bodhasara, that is today, and we have just completed a very beautiful portion, and this portion has to do with instructions, detailed instructions on meditation given by who? The Grand Guru of Adi Shankara, who wrote the what is that called? Karika, verses that talk about the Mandukya Upanishad, and two such verses from the Mandukya Upanishad have been lifted and talked about it here. Very beautiful, beautiful verses, and we saw those in detail. And just to get the connection, I'm going to chant them so we can have some arthaspuranam, means when you hear the verses, the meaning also takes place in the mind. That is what is called arthaspuranam. So 9 and 10. Laye sambodhaye chittam vikshiptam shamayet punaha. Laye sambodhaye chittam vikshiptam shamayet punaha. Sakashayam vijaniyat samapraptanna chalayet. Sakashayam vijaniyat samapraptanna chalayet. Nasvadayetra santatra nissangah prajnaya bhavet. Nasvadayetra santatra nissangah prajnaya bhavet. Vishede kagraya buddhya siddhimevamavapnuyat. Vishede kagraya buddhya siddhimevamavapnuyat. So the two foes of meditation, what are they? One is, of course, sleep. Inimical to meditation, sleep. This is called laya. And the other one, what is the other one? Any thoughts?
Samadhi.
Not samadhi. That's not inimical to what is a block to the meditation. One is sleep, which is a block to the meditation.
Vikshepa.
Did we discuss?
Vikshepa.
Vikshepa. Yeah, don't get vikshipta now. Okay, yeah. Don't get distracted now, because this is vikshepa means distraction. So sleep and distraction are two forces inimical to to meditation. So sleep means what? Where one gets into a relaxation, that the only kind of relaxation that one knows, which comes in the form of sleep, of course. And then distraction means all kinds of thoughts come. Even when you don't want them to come, they come. And so these two must be handled, verse number 9 says. And then why do they come? Why does sleep come? Sleep comes because of tamas, because of ignorance, because of not knowing. Why, not knowing that there is a deep engagement with oneself possible, where one can have that oneness, which is the truth of oneself, in order to quote unquote experience the oneness that one already is. One doesn't have to go to sleep. This is not understood and because of the predominance of the tamoguna, sleep takes place. And then why does distraction take place? Technically because of rajas. This rajoguna causes distraction because the inability to sit still, to sit with oneself, brings about a lot of squirming, restlessness physically, and then mentally what does it bring? It brings a lot of, what is that called? Mental agitation. Agitation from the rajas here has to be encoded as raga and dvesha. Tamas also raga dvesha, but the raga dvesha going through the funnel called tamas expresses itself in a kind of an apathy, expresses itself in a form of a disengagement which can be mistaken for vairagya, but it is not. It is more of a avoidance, in a certain way, by going off to sleep, where one slips into sleep. And of course, naturally, these days everybody is sleep deprived. Who has, unbroken sleep? Nobody, except perhaps babies. And so therefore, this is something to look into. And this is what Gaudapadacharya says in the Mandukya Upanishad, that these are the two things that are inimical to meditation. So sleep, we saw, comes from, this is just a recap, comes from tamoguna. From tamas. Tamas means a kind of a unwillingness or the inability to participate in one's life. Really, that is what tamas is. Unwillingness / inability. Why is it defined like this? Because it is when we talk about tamas out of balance, that is where it leads. In balance, of course, tamas means a certain withdrawal, a certain cessation of activity that is there in in the whole universe. You see that. Bears hibernate, the trees stop producing chlorophyll at the start of the fall because they want to drop the leaves. They want the leaves to dry up and drop. Why? So that they can survive the winter. If the leaves were there, then the snow coming and sitting on the branches would be very difficult for the tree to survive with such heavy, the branches made heavy with the snow and the leaves. So this way, the shedding allows the leaves to survive the winter and to come back rejuvenated in the spring. So this kind of a tamas, in nature that we see, and even in one's own nature that one sees, the need for sleep, the need for withdrawal, etc., is what is called tamas, which is prakritam, which is swabhavika, which is in balance. This is Ishvara's gift of the three gunas, Ishwari's gift, because Maya is in charge of tamas. So this tamas is not what we are talking about. We are talking about the tamas out of balance. And out of balance means where it's not just Ishvara, but the jiva is involved. Jiva means what? The one word definition of jiva is complaints. That's what. Subjectivity. So the objective tamas is there. You see this in the universe. Babies go to sleep, everybody goes to sleep, and tiredness is there. This is a body's way of saying you need to step back. All this is there. So there is Ishvara's tamas overlaid by the jiva's ragadveshas. So the jiva's understanding, interpretation, and the jiva's projection of the tamas is different from Ishvara's tamas, because the Ishvarik tamas, what is there in Ishvara's tamas? Objectivity. It simply is a law of nature, a universal law. That's all there is. There is a universal law. Things the alternate between activity and repose. This is an objective rendition of tamas. But then the subjective rendition is where the ahankara gets involved with the mind, etc. So then, here, even though tamas comes under laya, or the avoidance or cessation from the meditation in a certain sense, it is still caused by a personal vikshepa. So the sorrow in the mind. And what is the cause of sorrow? The cause of sorrow is, of course, things are different from how one wants them to be. That is the sorrow. Always. That is the cause of sorrow. If you look at the cause of any sorrow, that's how it is. No, my sorrow is different. How is it different? Well, I'm missing so and so. Well, that's exactly what it is. Missing so and so means you wish they were here and they are not. And that is the sorrow. The sorrow is whenever a desire is thwarted, it goes into either anger or sorrow. When the desire is thwarted and the result is anger, then it is a rajasic outburst of this, of the impediment, of this impeded, inhibited desire. When there is a outburst of sorrow, then it is a tamasic manifestation of the impeded, inhibited desire. That's what it is. So then that is what we saw. How this tamas has got. When we talk about tamas here, we are not talking of the objective tamas, the need to sleep, the need to recharge, the need to rest or refrain from activity, which is part of the universal law. In other words, the sleep is a manifestation of Ishvara. But here, when you have put the mind on a job and sleep comes, that is obviously, not a manifestation of Ishvara, and that is one's own inability or unwillingness. That is what we are talking about here. There is a subjective projection here. And behind that subjective projection is the mind, is the fact that emotions are engaged. This is not, primarily speaking, it is not just a physical manifestation of sleep anymore. It is where the mind and the emotions are engaged. And the mind and the emotions, because they are engaged in a certain way, they interfere in the dhyana by going to sleep and dragging the person doing the dhyanam also into a kind of a nirvikalpa, accidental and nirvikalpa samadhi. So this is what is called laya. And of course we are talking of how it is subjective. Laya is subjective. And because it is subjective, then that is why Gaudapadacharya discusses the unconscious, where he says sakashayam vijaniyat. Where does this sorrow come from? If you ask the question, and if you say to yourself, I am having a great day, that's why I decided to make it greater by meditating. So I sit down to meditate and sleep comes. Sound sleep comes. Pujya Swamiji's definition of sound sleep, right? Sleep that produces a sound. Okay, that is sound sleep. And so sleep comes. Instead of Om Namah Shivaya mantra, sleep comes. And so then, then you say, what happened? I was having a great day. I am not having any problems. There is no what tamas, what rajas. I am having a good time. Where is this coming from? Well, the answer to that is that there is a storehouse. A storehouse, a warehouse. Warehouse, pun intended, because you don't know where the house is. Okay, so that's why it's a warehouse. A warehouse of emotions called the unconscious mind. a storehouse of emotions called the unconscious mind, which is called kashaya, not kashaya. Kashaya means orange, the ochre robes of the Swami. So this is kashaya. Kashaya literally means something viscose and sludgy. Like when we were sick, when I was small and we were sick, then what the elders would, would phone up the some doctor, and then Ayurvedic doctor, and they would prepare this sludgy concoction, and it would come in a brown flat bottle this big, maybe 8-10 ounces, and then behind that would be some dosages cut out, this much paper, and it would be stuck, and it had the foulest smell in the whole world. I can still smell it, even recalling it, it is so strong. And it had, I don't know which was worse. Was the smell worse or the taste worse? It is a matter for discussion. But, we had to drink, we had to close the nose and chug off one whole dose. And the parents would be watching. Well, it hasn't come down properly. Still more is left. Drink it, drink it. Somehow the fever would come down. And you have to shake it well, no cheating. Okay. So this is, and then this was called kashaya. This was called kashaya. And and the parents would say, and the elders would say, oh, we have to get the kashaya from the vaidya, from the doctor. And so then that's the only meaning of the word kashaya I knew growing up, until I studied the Mandukya Upanishad. And then here kashaya means another kind of concoction. A foul smelling, foul tasting cocktail of what? Raga dveshas, memories of past hurts internalized. So those memories are, they are a cocktail, because the objective memory of the hurt is there, along with its subjectification or internalization. This is something very important to understand. So think of the mind of a child. So then even the mother going to the bathroom is a traumatic event for some children because of some anxiety and insecurity. Even if the mother says to the 1-year-old or 2-year-old, I'll be gone only for 5 minutes, it doesn't understand 5 minutes. And then it thinks the mother has left. And so you see, yes, the mother left and came back, but in the mind of the child, that separation has been internalized, increasing exponentially that insecurity. And so this is what is kashaya. So there is a hurt, there is pain, there is sorrow. And why are there hurt, pain and sorrow? Why are they there? They are there because of the internalization of objective situations, because the brain of the child is not developed enough to understand certain things, or to protect itself from abuse, from difficulties, from trauma, from mistreatment. It doesn't have the wherewithal. So any hurt that is internalized does so subjectively. And so there is the objective neglect or abuse or whatever it is, with the mixed up with the subjective overtones of whatever the child interpreted that to be. Therefore, this is a very interesting therefore logic. Tasmat. Tasmat means what? Therefore. Therefore what? Nobody loves me. Therefore what? I am no good. Therefore, the parents love the other sibling more. Therefore, I have been neglected. I am unwanted, etc., etc., etc. This is the warehouse called of emotions that are unprocessed, uninquired into, uninterrogated. So that is why it is called warehouse, pun intended, because even though they are housed somewhere, you don't know where it is until and unless they are coughed up like a beached whale on the shore. On the shore of the conscious mind, a whale of emotions is coughed up by this ocean of unconscious. This is what it is. And then you say, oh, I was having such a good day. Where is this anger coming from? And one, because of ignorance, projects that anger solely on the present situation. You did this. There's something kind of very, delicious about blaming the other person in such cases. It's all because of you. Until you came along, I was having a wonderful time. I was busy Ishwarizing everything. And even the Vedantin does it, okay? So that's why I'm taking this example. I was busy Ishwarizing this, that, and everything in the universe. And then you came along. And because of you, I am feeling like this. Even in therapy, they in couples therapy and all, people are taught to talk using I statements. Don't say, you made me feel like this. Just say, I felt like this. At least take some responsibility for the feelings. And all this is from the Vedas. All this is from the Upanishads. Even though the credit goes to Freud and Jung and all these people. And even though the credit goes to Jung, the psychology is not so Jung, okay? It is very old, very ancient, extremely ancient. And this is all there in the Veda, in the Upanishads, in the Karika. And so, Sakashayam Vijaniyat. See the mind as having two components. One is the conscious I, the meditator, the dhyata, the one who is an adult, the one who says, I want to be one with Ishvara in this meditation, in this contemplation. I want to have this time with Bhagavan, and I want to take this time to be one with Bhagavan. This is the adult. Then who else is there? Inner child. The one who spits up hairballs of all kinds of things coming out from the unconscious mind. This is what it is. And the two do not talk to each other, because the conscious mind is for the most part unaware of the existence of the unconscious. Number one. And then what else? The conscious mind sometimes refuses to acknowledge the unconscious. And the unconscious mind, for its own part, is afraid of being found out, and therefore it hides even more. Why is the inner child afraid of being found out? Because it is aware that its needs are not being met, and it will never be met. And then if it has tried in the past to talk to the adult and say, here I am, I'm hurting, I'm distracted, I'm upset, I'm sad. And what does the adult say? Shut up, I have to go to work now. Shut up, I don't have time for you. Keep quiet, go away. And therefore, it has learned to not trust the adult. That's why they are like ships passing in the night. The inner child doesn't trust the adults and the adult within. And that's why it hides, except when it can no longer hide, like a pressure cooker which doesn't have the safety valve, and then it just explodes. That's why even a Shanta person, a person who is very calm, explodes once in a while. Why? Because the unconscious mind is not tamed just by suppressing it. And so here there is a very nice key to working with the unconscious mind. So there are two components. First, in meditation, we learn the art of acknowledging it and suspending it. Acknowledge and suspend. Sakashayam vijaniyat. Acknowledge. Vijaniyat means know. Know means understand. Acknowledge that the unconscious mind also comes along for the ride during the meditation. And so there will be bubbles of pain, of sorrow. And last time we talked at length about getting into the place of the witness. So witness them. That is the second thing. Witness them. And then when you witness them, you get a certain equanimity. When you gain that equanimity, don't go back and try to stir the unconscious mind with a stick and find out where did this hurt come from. Was the mother really like this? Was the father this bad, as I thought? Don't go there. Get back to contemplation, meditation, whatever you are doing. But then, after this, after the meditation, or whenever you have some time, the point is to get familiar with the inner child by allowing it to trust the adult, which is you, the adult again. You invite it in the form of sorrow and fear to have a cup of tea with you, to sit with you, to allow it to come up. And in the beginning, if you say, oh, I am there for you, what will the inner child say? Yeah, right. Like you have been there all this time. You are not there for me. So you have to say, yes, I am here for you. You gain its trust. And the more you gain its trust, the inner children, rather the inner brats, will not surprise, will not hold you hostage. When you are in the middle of an important meeting, suddenly you feel unloved. That will not happen, because you have a say over the ways of both the portions of the mind, the conscious, the subconscious, etc., which includes the unconscious. So when you gain the trust and then the inner child wants to come out in the present situation that is hurtful, you can tell it, not now, I will sit with you later and I'll find out what happened. And then you have to keep the promise to retain that trust. So this is a very beautiful rendition of understanding how to meditate. Very, very wonderful rendering. And then it says, Sakashayam vijaniyat samapraptam na chalayet. Don't try to rake the leaves of the unconscious to find out what is hidden underneath. Because that whatever is hidden underneath, this is not the time to do that. Once you gain a certain mastery in the meditation process, get into the place of the witness. Then the second thing that it says is that the next verse, number 10, the unconscious mind is not just a storehouse of sorrow and anger, it also has pleasant memories. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, just before the pandemic, I used to go on so many holidays. Nostalgic, wonderful bubbles of memories coming up. Never missed traveling. Always had a good time with the family, with the friends. Had a wonderful time. And look now, before you get on a flight, you have to put a swab up the nose and submit the test somewhere. And then after you get off, repeat. And then quarantine, and then now the whole time you are wearing a mask, out of which how breathing happens, Bhagavan only knows. These KN95, N95 masks, and then you are always worried and looking at everybody else, sitting to the left, sitting to the right, suspiciously. Do you have it? Do you have it? Omicron, Corona, this, that, Delta, Alpha, all these things. The peace of mind is robbed away. And along with the peace of mind being robbed away, so is the repetition of Om Namah Shivaya. Where did it go? All this whole trajectory. And so therefore, the next advice is Na aswadayet. May one not taste rasam tatra. May one not taste the pleasant rasa that emerges. Even Buddha, while discussing meditation, talked about these two things. He talked about a demoness called Mara, which is in the form of the unconscious mind. And so this is exactly what is being talked about here as well. So na aswadayet rasam tatra. So there will be physical sensations also when the body is alert, awake, relaxed, and you are repeating Om Namah Shivaya or some other contemplative statement and looking at the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, etc. So whether it is dhyana, meditation, or contemplation, nididhyasana, these wonderful feelings will come. And there will be some pleasant sensations in the body. Very nice sensations. Suddenly the spine feels like it is moving back and forth a little bit. And then what? Then suddenly the mind is awake, alive. You feel like jumping, you feel like dancing. And what should one do? Don't. Because there is a deeper portal, if you will. These are just the portals to deepening the meditation, which is really communion with Ishvara as yourself. So if you start jumping, dancing, shaking during the meditation, I think I shared with you that story of going to the Parliament of World Religions. Did I do that? Did I share that story? Yeah. Somebody said, can you please, our leader has not come, can you please do the meditation? And then the whole furniture, everything is shaking. I had to open my eyes one at a time to find out what is going on. I thought we were meditating, and here everybody was holding each other's hand, and I thought they were having an epileptic fit. I was worried about their wellness, both mental and physical. And then they said, oh, wonderful sensations started to happen, and very quickly, since you led us through. And so in our meditation, we just shake back and forth like this. So then after that, I concluded I was not the right person to lead this particular sampradaya. So I just excused myself the next day. So this is what it is. This is exactly why Gaudapada Acharya's injunction here, advice, na aswadayet rasan tatra. That rasa, the essence, is a manifest essence of that latent self, which is you. Why is it latent? Because it's not objectifiable. What is objectifiable are the byproducts of that communion with oneself, which is in the form of physical and mental modifications. That is the only thing that is objectifiable. So if you go with the objectifiable, again one has gone with the finite. One has associated with oneself with the finite, and the infinite, which is you, escapes again. So if you refrain from shaking, dancing, and smiling broadly and doing other things and wondering if the kundalini is up or down, doesn't matter. Because one thing about kundalini, I will tell you, what goes up must come down. And with that which goes up and comes down, we are not interested, we are not bothered. We are interested in the I that neither goes up nor comes down, is unchanging I. That is what we want. Because if you get elated with the kundalini going up, then what will happen when it goes down? You will get dejected. And Pujya Swamiji about the kundalini would always say a very wise thing. He would say, if the kundalini is a coiled serpent sitting at the base of the spine, he would say, my mother always told me, don't disturb coiled serpents. Let them be. Let them be. Oh, now it is going up. Let it go up. It's not you. It is again the byproduct of whatever is, that joy, that harsha. Harsha, Marsha, Bhaya, Udvegaihi. This Bhagavad Gita says the one who is free of Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, Udvega, changes, agitations, elation, dejection, that is the Jnani. That is the yogi. And so therefore there is a depth available to oneself when one lets go of this, of identifying with every little pleasant sensation, pleasant thoughts, etc. Na swadayet rasam tatra nissangaha. Become asanga prajnaya. Use a little bit of wisdom that is gained in this discussion and then become wise and say, I'm not going there. Oh yes, this is a very pleasant sensation. That's nice to acknowledge that because you're still the witness, and then you make a decision not going there now. And the idea is that after practicing the meditation, you have that same attitude towards life in general. You don't associate with the byproducts of the mind in the terms of sorrow, outpouring of sorrow or elation. So therefore it says Vished. Vished means may one penetrate like a target. May one penetrate. In the Mundaka Upanishad, which we will study tomorrow, we have a nice mantra there. And there it says that Brahman is the arrow. The target, of course, is Brahman. Brahmatal laksham uchyate. And with that arrow of concentration, penetrate the target. And so here also the target being Ishvara in the form of the mantra, which is you, which is the truth of you. Vished ekagraya buddhya. With a one-pointed concentration, do this. And then siddhimevam avapnuyat. And there is no way you won't get success in this. And same thing, that one single-minded focus called samadhanam is extended slowly from the meditative to the non-meditative states, so that the difference between meditation and non-meditation is obfuscated little by little and ultimately completely. That is what is jnanam really. So in dhyanam we imitate what it is like to be what it is like to be a jnani. That is what is that. It is with the background of Vedanta, especially when the meditation is done. It is called Brahmabhyasa. And even without the background of Vedanta, if one is just instructed in japa and meditation is done, that is what is called meditation, dhyanam, for the sake of inner purification, antahkarana shuddhi. So this concludes our discussion on these two verses. Moving on to verse number 11. Udhrite garhapatyagno tat samskara samskrite. Udhrite garhapatyagno tat samskara samskrite. Satyarupasvayam yajva Shraddha Patni Pativrata. Satyarupasvayam yajva Shraddha Patni Pativrata. So, the 11th verse, let us not forget, it is connected to this whole section. And what is this section? The section is called the daily practice of the sages. The daily practice of the sages means dinacharya. Dinacharya is the daily practice of the sages. And then we saw how beautifully and metaphorically and symbolically all the rituals which are done by the non-jnani are jnanified and then new meanings are attributed to them, like offering water to the sun, and then offering something else. This is what the householder does. But what does the jnani do? The water is the washing away of all papas, the acknowledgement that all papas are gone, like that we saw. And then mukhakshalanam, washing of the face, and then all this we have seen. And then now the jnani, now the householder has entered. This is the daily life of the householder, over which the jnani's life is superimposed in a very metaphoric and poetic way, very exciting. And so we have seen some of the things. Let me give some examples here. So munihi prasarya saralau pralambau sapavitrakau sankhya-yogau nijau bahu upatishtet bhaskaram. So you stand in front of the sun in the water with both the arms upright, welcoming the day. And then what is that? One arm is Sankhya, knowledge. The other arm symbolizes a dedicated, committed way of life to attaining the vision of the Veda and of Vedanta. So that is yoga. The sage should stand in the presence of the sun. So this is something which is, these are some of the things here. And then after that, Yajnashala Bhumika Syat. So then you enter the Yajnashala, etc. And then the atonement. We saw some section on atonement before the Yajna begins. And so now the householder here, after the atonement, we saw how the atonement takes place. The atonement is in the form of meditation. The atonement is in form of mastery of all the krodha, lobha, moha, mada, all these difficult emotions. We saw all that. And now we are back to the Yajnashala. And so just to situate us in verse number 11, because it takes a little bit of a turn. So then here the householder, in the householder's daily life, is ready to do the agnihotra. What is agnihotra? A daily ritual, a simple daily ritual that is done, which has 2 offerings, and just 2 offerings, so that one can just do this quickly. And then this agnihotra has to be done as soon as one is married, and starting along with one's wife, along with one's spouse, one does it. And then if one of the partners is not available, the other one can do it. In the Ramayana, we see Sita doing agnihotra when Rama is away by herself. And then we also see Tara, the wife of Sugriva and Vali, doing a yajna also by herself. We see this. And so, the modern, you see, now the Agnihotris, when they did a census, they did a kind of a census in the 90s of how many Nityagnihotris were there. Nityagnihotri means those who don't cross the waters, those who sit and practice this. And at that time there were about 300 Nityagnihotris. And now, that was so many years ago, and now so many decades ago. Now maybe it is halved, we don't know. Maybe it is less than half, we don't know, maybe a third left. So the Nityagnihotri is an endangered species in India. So because it is very difficult to do this. And also because the culture has become very patriarchal, we don't find women doing this. We don't find women doing this at all. So the men only do this, whoever is the Nityagnihotri. And then there will be some, they will quote some Dharma Shastra to say why women should not do yajna. And then I heard some very strange reasons. One of the reasons is the heat of the fire is too much for them. Then I said, then they should not cook also, because the heat of the fire will be too much for them. So how come cooking is okay, but then this is not? Cooking, for especially Indian cooking with all these complex masalas and everything, going for 3 hours in a day, 3-4 hours. And of course everybody wants fresh things, so, and then cooking again in the evening. If this is okay, then why is not sitting in front of the fire okay? So like this, these are all made up stories, to continue to matter, I suppose. And anyhow, so all the religions, not just the Hindu tradition, all the religions have become extremely patriarchal over time. And so here, this Agnihotra now doesn't have the same meaning as even in 1798 when Bodhasara was composed. Even at that time, because he does talk about the Patni, and we'll see very, very beautifully he talks about this. And so he talks about the couple doing yajna. So the idea is this, that this is called Patyagni. Garhapatya means, so there is 3 kinds of fires, and so Garhapatya means connected to the Griha. The household Agni is called Garhapatyagni. How did this household Agni come from? It is taken from the parents. At the time of marriage, it is given. From the parents, it is taken. How did the parents get it? From their parents. How did those parents get it? From their parents. So it is kind of like a household Olympic flame that never goes out. That is always there. And so after marriage, you are supposed to keep it going by giving 2 offerings to this Garhapatyagni every day. You keep it going. This is a form of worship of the house fire. And then the last offering to the house fire is the body of the Yajamana. The body of the offerer is the final offering, because that is the fire in which that person is cremated. So just amazing. What a culture. And then one chants the final verses of the, what is that? Ishopanishad. Kratosmara kritagasmara kratosmara kritagasmara. Oh, fire, please remember all the yajnas I have done. Be kind to me. Be kind to me who has just departed from this body. Be kind to me. Agnenaya supatha araye. Please take me to through the best path possible. What is the best path possible? From whence there is no coming back, no rebirth. Or even if there must be rebirth because I did not attend a few Vedanta classes, even if there must be rebirth, let me be born as a human being. As the Bhagavad Gita says, Ayatihi Shraddhayopetah Yogachalitamanasah Kangatim Krishna Gachati Chinnabhramiva Nashyati Kim. Arjuna is aware. This is the 6th chapter going on, end of the 6th chapter. And in these 6 chapters, there were many times he zoned out. Many times he was not paying attention. Many times he sneaked over to look at what Duryodhana, etc. were doing. And then he didn't get some of this knowledge. Plus, internal pratibandhas, raga, dvesha, etc. could not gain this knowledge. And it's just like when one has some kind of an embarrassing complaint, and when one goes in India, when one goes to the doctor, one says, my friend has this issue, can you please help? And then actually they will be having that issue, but it's just, because it's an embarrassing complaint. And so therefore, my friend has this issue. So Arjuna also says, let us suppose hypothetically, somebody is Shraddhaya Upetah, full of Shraddha, oozing with Shraddha. But what? Ayatihi, little lazy, didn't do the work, didn't do enough Shravanam, didn't do enough, did not really get rid of the ignorance completely. Did some. Yoga Chalitamanasah, got somehow derailed from this path of Karma Yoga. What will happen to such a person? Kangatim tata gacchati. Hey Krishna, kangatim gacchati. What will happen to such a person? Will the person's little bit of effort and a lot of Shraddha, will it go to waste? Chinna bhramiva nashyati kim. Will it be like the fog, which when the sun comes completely dissipates? Is this what's going to happen? And Bhagavan Krishna assures, no, that will not happen. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashtha Abhijayate Athava Yoginam Eva Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. the yoga bhrashta, the one that has slipped off the path of yoga, will be born with what? In the house of your karma yogis, in a house where mantras are chanted, in a house where when you take to this path, people are not going to look down upon you and say, what are you? What's wrong with you? Earn some money, we need money. In fact, that's why Srimatam Gehe, the house will already have enough money or enough bread earners so that you can do this without any problems. So like this, the promise is given. And here also, there is a, in the Isha Upanishad, when the body is put on this flame, which the person has tended all the life, there is the prayer. Hey Agni, Supadharaye, through this prosperous path, take me through this prosperous path, so that have mercy, have compassion, or please remember smara, please remember all the good things that I have done. So this is agnihotra and garhapatyagni. Okay, so just to give a little bit of a understanding, so we have the context. So here what, now the householder here, lifts the faggot, the wood, which is a lit piece of wood, the firebrand, and then says some mantras in the agnihotra. Before starting, the fire is already there, so then before putting the wood in it, stands with that fire and then says some mantras. So by interpolation, what does the jnani do? Udhrite, or the jnani wannabe, both are included here. Okay, so jnani or the karma yogi, who is practically the jnani wannabe, what do they do? Udhrite, meaning lifting up, holding the fire, holding the fire, not exactly the fire, but that piece of wood, holding that piece of wood which is lit. Udhrite garhapatyagnav tat samskara samskrite. Visualizing the fire, cleansing all the ragadveshas. This is what the jnani or the jnani wannabe will do. The jnani wannabe, the yogi will say, instead of saying the mantras for prosperity, etc., here the mantras are for self-purification. And then what? Satyarupaha. Then who is the wife? Who is the swami? And who is the wife of the yajamana? Here very beautiful. Satyarupaha swayam yajva. Yajva, having worshipped oneself. You worship yourself as what? Satya, as truth. As truth, as the embodiment of truth. Very beautiful here. You are that Sat, because of which everything is here, because of which the whole Jagat is manifest. That Satya, and also we can even from the Karma Yoga, this is from the Jnani standpoint. From the Karma Yogi standpoint, we can take it as Satya Bhashanam, truth telling as a value. So Satya Rupa Swayam Yajva, then what? Then who is your wife? Shraddha is the wife. Satya is the husband, Shraddha is the wife. These are all values within oneself that are doing this metaphorical agnihotra. And what the offerings are also is going to be told. Very beautiful. So Shraddha, devotion, bhakti, devotion, reverence. This is what is needed for the knowledge to take place. Devotion, reverence, and the values of truth speaking and a commitment to Sat, truth, etc. This is what is Shraddha Patni Pativrata. Pativrata means she is very loyal. She is very loyal to the husband. Who is the husband here? Sat. So the Shraddha is not just for Shraddha's sake. Shraddha is for the sake of attaining this knowledge as oneself. Attaining Ishvara as oneself through this knowledge. So the Shraddha is in service of this knowledge. So this is Shraddha that is in service of this knowledge, and so she is very faithful, this loyal spouse. And then, and who else is performing the yajna? Satya. This truth and Shraddha, the combination, are what is is doing this yajna, and very very nice, you know. And why is this yajna needed? The next verse is going to tell us. गृहं देहं पतिर्जीवः छादितो मोहभस्मना गृहं देहः पतिर्जीवः छादितो मोहभस्मना जीवस्य गार्हपत्न्याग्नेः उत्तमं जीवस्य गार्हपत्याग्नेः तदुद्धरणमुत्तमम्. Very beautiful. And then the householder, of course, is in the house where this yajna is being formed. What is this house? Dehaha. So here, that which houses the Satya and Shraddha is this body. So the body is the house, the site of the yajna is the body, and then what is the yajamana, the host, the one who is doing this is the patihi jivaha. So the jiva is the pati, and then he is covered by ashes. Oh, he put vibhuti just before the yajna. No. He is covered by ashes of delusion. Ashes of delusion. Achaditaha moha bhasmana. Bhasma, ashes. Ashes of delusion. And why ashes? Because the ashes are from the fire of what? Don't say knowledge here. Fire of desire. When the desire has, when the desires are immolated, and when the desires are raging, when the passionate fires of desires are raging, then you are in the fallout of the ashes to come and settle on this body, mind, sense complex. And the ashes are of delusion. The kama fires are raging, and then the ashes of delusion cover the self, as it were, cover the I, which is what? The ahankara here. The one that is identified with the body, mind, sense complex is, as it were, covered by delusion. So you see, you have ajnanam, and because of ajnanam there is a lot of restlessness. Then there is karma. Kama is there, desire is there, karma is there. The restlessness causes there for the pressure to be there, and then the pressure requires fulfillment. And then in these raging fires of kama, krodha, etc., the ashes of delusion and the dust of delusion settles on the ahankara, making it very calcified, making it say, oh, I can never get what I want. The whole world, let it go to hell. This is just horrible. Why me? All these thoughts come. How come they can get away by, people have this very interesting question. I am very dharmic and I am not getting anything in return. The other person is not dharmic and they are getting away with everything. So I am dharmic and I am not getting anything. It's just a small wound. The larger wound is the other person who is not dharmic but is getting away with everything. Getting away means what? We are seeing just a small, minuscule slice of time. That slice of time is just tiny. This is because this is earthly time. Bhagavan's time, Bhagavan is the father of time, mother of time. Bhagavan has, that's why it is called Kala Bhairava, Kali, means the Lord of time, the goddess of time. Bhagavan's time is not your time. And then because this is said even in the story, one fellow came and said to Bhagavan Krishna, I want Upanishad, just like you taught Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, teach me also. And Bhagavan Krishna says, but my throat is little parched, bring me a little glass of water, I'll teach. And so he goes to the river to fetch a pot of water, and a sweet young thing is also fetching water on the other side. And then immediately he follows her. Where is your father? I want to ask your hand in marriage. And then they have three children named after the Upanishads that he longed to study. This is my interpolation, okay? So the Isha, Kena, and Katha, okay? And then after that, what? After that, you have to throw a little bit of things in. So then, after that, then there is a big deluge in his town, and the wife and the children are separated. They are drowning. He is also drowning. And then suddenly he remembers, oh my god, Upanishads, Krishna teaching, water. He asked for water. So quickly he takes the water. Somehow that commitment to give Lord Krishna water makes him somehow swim out of that flash flood and appears before him. And 25 years have passed already. And Krishna says, what's wrong with you? The river is so close by, and you have taken half an hour to bring this water. That is what Lord Krishna says. So the time frame is entirely different. So nobody is getting away with anything. We think like that because a lifespan, we see just a small cross section of time. So here, this delusion, the ashes of delusion from the burning fires of passion have to be cleansed off, and there is nothing better than agnihotra, he says, to cleanse it off. So how is it going to be cleansed off? Well, we just have to wait to find out, won't we? And until when we have to wait to find out? Well, we have to wait to find out until 2 weeks hence, and the exact date will be posted on the website. Please go to arshavg.org. So you will know some Saturday 2 weeks hence, okay? So I will write the website because the other one is not working. We just have this one now. So you go to arshavg.org and then please look for the date. I will update it presently, okay? Yeah. So a couple of questions. How does the Shastra explain a child who doesn't know anything about this world except mom but suffers through anxiety in the absence of mom? This insecurities, insecurities, has been brought with the Sukshma Shariram from the past life and the past life and the past life. Yeah. Same separation anxiety as a puppy in the last life. Same thing. And here also, same thing. Yeah, correct. So, delusion in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 says that when karma is not fulfilled, it leads to krodha and finally to delusion. But in life, not that some of the karma is fulfilled, would there be no absolute delusion instead of some kind of confusion? Would there be no? No, no, no. No, no, no. There will be confusion and delusion are synonymous. It's one and the same. Confusion and delusion. Delusion is one akara of confusion. One manifestation of confusion, of delusion is confusion. So, yeah. So, then, yes. So, there is a karma krodha trajectory. There is also a karma sorrow trajectory. Okay? Yeah. Someone was inquiring if we are having Chandogya class. No, we are not having Chandogya class, not because I am against Chandogya class, but because there is nothing more to teach. We have finished the Chandogya class, and so they can catch up from the from the archives on YouTube, or they can come next week to Taittiriya class. All right? Yeah. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ ॐ नमः शिवाय. Rashmi, you are back from Coimbatore? You are back? Or you
No, Swami, I'm still here. I leave
still
on
here?
Tuesday now.
Okay,
Yeah.
enjoy.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you, Swamiji, for the much grace and blessings. Thank you.